For today's episode, we've taken the median income values and some costs based on the Tri-Cities area here in Washington State, where all of our guests are from. We want to see people in their different life stages and how they value different parts of their budget. Let's jump into it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dollars and Cents, Hapo Community Credit Union's Financial Literacy Podcast. It is our first episode of 2026, and today we know we've talked to everybody out there a lot about budgeting. We bring it up regularly. It is an important financial aspect in people's lives. Today, we decided to put our money where our mouth is, or at least conceptually. Jeff, our producer, put together a scenario and sent it out to myself and all of our guests. I was lazy and didn't look at this until yesterday, partly because I was walking around the San Diego Zoo looking at bears, which plays into my scenario that I had to work out here a little bit. But today we've got Jacob returning, yes, we've got Candy coming back on, and Lily for the first time joining us today.
Hello.
If you can't tell from the video, we've got a couple different walks of life here today. And that is kind of what we really wanted this experiment to be about. Everybody got the exact same budgeting scenario. There's an income, which breaks down to a monthly take home, which is so much less than just dividing that by 12. Thank you, taxes. As well as some opportunities to make some lifestyle choices. Now, I'm guessing that across the board, most of our lifestyle choices are going to be different. And that's kind of what we're looking at here. It's going to change up what we have available to work with when it comes to actually doing a bit of budgeting here. So let's go around the table, get a quick introduction for everybody about kind of what you were thinking when you got this thing and where we go from just a high level right out of the gate. Jacob, you want to start?
For me, I like to assume I have a good understanding of budgeting. So for me, this was kind of something that came pretty normal for me. But I'm curious to see how the same budget and monthly income affects everybody.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm very interested to see how this episode goes.
Lily, what about you?
When I got the form and I was looking at it all, I thought the monthly take-home pay looked pretty good. Honestly, it made me just look at it and know that I have a lot to play around with.
Okay.
And where I can put my money.
Candy?
For me, it was actually very timely because with the new year, you know how that goes. You get motivation for all the things with, finances being a big one when it comes to goal setting. So it was just perfect timing for me and just really reassessing and taking a look, especially like the way it was framed. I really appreciated that because it really just made me think things through it as to how I'm going to do things in 2026 and be more intentional. Okay,
now I'm going to be open and honest here. I had to take a look at this from the exact opposite viewpoint of you, Lily, because I have said many times on the podcast that I have a sugar mama for a wife, and she is a pharmacist with a cancer center and makes a very nice salary, and I had to reevaluate some things. Looking at this. However, did anybody feel like the options and the opportunities that are here, which we'll get into in a little bit more detail, did anybody feel like there was anything missing or anything that you weren't expecting that you had to look at it and say, oh yeah, that's right, I do spend money on that?
Go for it.
I was going to say the insurance because working here, one of the benefits is, as long as you're an employee, your insurance is covered. So when I saw the insurance on this form, it was $450, and I guess that just blew my mind. This is like my first, I want to say, like a big girl job.
Okay.
So that just really surprised me. I didn't know that's how much, people might pay for insurance out there every month.
Well, and that's going to change as we kind of go around the table and talk about different people's scenarios. Because while we have talked about on the podcast before total compensation packages, including whether it is employer-covered healthcare or employee-covered healthcare, where the employer simply provides you options that you get to then pay for. There is the other factor of needing to add family members onto insurance and additional reach out for items like that. And as we go around the table, we're going to find that we probably have a couple of different family dynamics and lifestyles here, which are going to hopefully impact the choices that we've made in our budgeting, so we can kind of see how this plays out a little bit differently for everybody. Jake, did you have anything that Jacob? Did you have anything that jumped out to you as far as the items that were here?
Not necessarily. I believe the one thing that did catch my attention was in the categories that we have. We actually do not have a section for debt, which is a good thing, right? But in reality, a lot of people do carry debt, whether that's student loans, car loans, credit cards. So it was very interesting to see we don't clearly have a section for debt. So I did have to reevaluate that at the end, but it was still interesting nonetheless to itemize everything.
Yeah, so, I was going to say there's a couple of factors there. I feel like with the car payment scenario, that's technically debt.
Yes.
With the housing scenario, that could be a mortgage or rent, which could fall into debt. However, we don't have, like you mentioned, any sort of credit card debt. So we're assuming with this scenario that if you're using a card, you're paying it off monthly.
Which is good. Which is good.
Candy, what about you?
For me, I think the biggest kind of almost hold up, and I was definitely overthinking, was trying to figure out, okay, is this like a one-person income household or like two-person income household? So then I just kind of ran with it and decided, okay, this is going to be, I'm going to treat it like a one-person income household and make some decisions based off that, and everything else is just a bonus.
There we go.
So that was a little interesting, but it worked.
All right. So for everybody else out there, the categories that we have listed here, I'm just going to run this thing top to bottom. Our scenario is a household income of $85,000 annually, which is an estimated monthly take-home of $5,400. Once again, taxes. Thank you. Otherwise, I think we're looking at just over $7,000 a month on that take-home. If we didn't have to pay Uncle Sam. Down here, we decided to give people a couple of options based on the lifestyle that you are choosing and that you are working with. Option A is the cheapest option for housing. Get yourself a roommate and an apartment, splitting rent roughly $1,100. Moderate single home, probably in that sub 2,000 square foot range, especially these days, at a $1,600 cost, and higher end housing of $2,500, which is still, if you're looking at some of those rates, the $500,000 home is probably still running you about that much monthly on a mortgage payment these days. Utilities, power, water, internet, and phone. So including all of those things, you don't need to worry. Everybody's getting an unlimited plan here with whatever phone you've got. $300 a month, which honestly, when I looked at that one, I was like, okay, that's pretty generous. I spent way more than that on my gas bill recently. Yeah, transportation is another big one that people need to handle. How is your vehicle? Do you have a paid off older car with minimal driving? $400 a month. No car payment, paying for gas, still got some insurance on that one. Average car payment, including fuel and insurance, $700 a month. A newer vehicle with a longer potential commute, $1,000 a month. We're working with some pretty nicely rounded off numbers that'll be very helpful for us all later, because I hate getting down into the very detailed specifics of things. Rough numbers work for me just well. Insurance, as mentioned by Lily, health coverage, $450 a month. Groceries, $650. This is just standard household groceries, get you through the month. And then, of course, adding all that up to figure out what your total fixed monthly expense is, then doing some quick math, remove that from $5,400 to see how much you've got left over for the final categorization of everything, which now gets us down to dining out, getting coffee in the morning, traveling, hobbies and recreation, fitness, the gym membership that I was talking about earlier, family, paying for your kids. I included my dogs as kids. entertainment and fun, your savings and future goals, which I thought was an insidious thing to put as the last item on the list. And then, of course, other, where if you really wanted to throw debt in there, you could probably have put it in on that other line, as well as then allocating everything else. And an area where we can make some comments that I put none down on my sheet because, like I said, I did this yesterday. But I can talk about why I made my choices as we go through this. So, anybody feel like getting the ball rolling and starting us off?
I can. Let's go ahead and then dive into the categories, right? So,
first, let's start with your housing setup.
Oh yeah, maybe most importantly, right? Let me start on page 1. So for me, what I did is I picked the option C, which is the higher income housing. Okay. So right off the bat, there's $2,500 subtracted. Yeah. Then again, right, we have our utilities, so power, water, internet, $300 a month. Transportation, I selected option B, going for the medium average car payment, around $700 a month.
Okay.
Same thing applies. We still have our insurance for $450 a month, our grocery baseline for $650, bringing our total expenses to $4,600 a month, leaving me with $800 left.
Yeah. Takes a big chunk right there.
To play around with, right? And for me, if I read this from the top, the biggest thing that I actually have is, actually, if I do start from the beginning, dining out and coffee. I only put $100 in there for the month.
About $25 a week, roughly.
Not too big on going out. For me, I like to have home cooked meals, stay home when I can, and save money when I can. I still feel like $100 leaves me enough wiggle room to get a coffee, get a dinner every now and then when I'm beat or my wife is beat.
Yeah, running late in the morning, go pick up a quick drive through lunch.
Absolutely, or forget to bring lunch. You know, I know that's a big thing for me. I'll forget to bring lunch all the time, so I have to allocate for that.
Which again, that right there is the difference between planning and reality.
Yeah,
I budgeted $100, but then I forgot 6 times this week,
and that'll run up very quickly, right? Even if you stick to cheap fast food, it's still expensive. It's not as cheap as it once was. Continuing down the list for travel and trips, I actually have 0.
Okay.
And my reasoning why is we'll get to it later down here, but for me, I included this with family and kids. Just because when I plan trips, I assume my family will be with me. And with that being said, I typically will save money in advance. So hotel rooms, things that we're going to do, activities, zoo, anything like that. Hobbies and recreation, again, 0 as well. Not to say that I don't have hobbies or enjoy personal time, but for me, I feel like a lot of things I can do are free, right? I can go out for a walk. I could go play basketball. I could get the guys together and maybe game it up, right? Yeah. So for me, I do have a lot of options that don't cost money. Health and fitness, right? I did have to put the gym membership in there, so $25. Shout out to Planet Fitness.
There you go.
Got to stay healthy, right? You got to be active. Family and kids, this was my most expensive item right here. I allocated $350 a month. Okay. And so for me, it is substantial when you consider all of my balances for everything else. But again, for me, I also take that in consideration to hobbies, trips, travel, anything like that. I would assume my family is there. My reasoning for that is I just like creating memories, and the money will come back, but the time does not. And I realized that as I got older, so I would like to embrace the moment.
Okay.
Entertainment, $25 a month. Unfortunately, we all have streaming services. Again, I think fun and entertainment, I can buckle that in with family, but I did want to specify the streaming services. We need everything, right? Netflix, Peacock, Hulu, all of that good things.
And at $25 a month, the odds are you're cycling at least 1 or 2 of those around.
You got to pick, right?
Which one? This month, Hulu next month.
Right? Some phone plans will give you subscription services. So I know I got HBO Max for free, Amazon Prime, I guess not free, but something, right?
Yeah, bundled in. Bundled.
So we'll take it as we can. We got to get a deal, right? I have to save when I can. The very last one that I have is savings and future goal. For me, $300 a month. Okay. Smaller than I would like. However, we have to be realistic. It's very expensive just to live. So $300 a month, I still feel will roll. It will still get the ball rolling. Okay. I feel like for a lot of people, they don't see or they don't take the time to save, not because they can't, which I don't want to say that sparingly because, again, I know it's very expensive to live. But I feel like for me, once you start to see that savings balance accumulate, it makes you want to save more. So for me, I have to have an allocation for savings. The very last one, this one is interchangeable. So for right now, I have other $0. And that's assuming, again, no credit card debt, student loans, or anything like that. If we did have to adjust that, right, I will have to come out of my family and savings, right? So maybe $100 from savings, maybe $150 from, family and kids, right?
Yeah.
So with that would be what I contribute to credit card debt, student loans debt, assuming I don't pay them off and carry a balance. I like to pay my cards off when I can, but it was just Christmas. It was just holiday season. So I do realize some of us may have small balances.
Yeah.
So just to take that in consideration, about $200, $250 going to cards.
Yeah, make sure you get those paid down over time. But on a standard month, $300 going to saving, $350 for planning stuff with the family.
Yep,
that's a pretty decent spread for the $800 left over. I assume you went with the higher house because of the family aspect.
Absolutely. I feel like when I was younger, staying in cheaper locations, cheaper apartments, renting was a better, I don't want to say a better fit, but something that I had to do just to give myself a little bit more wiggle room.
Yeah.
In order to do, family trips, in order to go out and go to the family fun center, play center, things like that. But as you get older and your kids get older, I think safety is more important. So with that being said, right, more room, just a safer area and safer neighborhood, that's going to be my most important for at least my children, right?
All right.
So I have to.
Hey, makes sense to me. Lily?
Yeah. Okay, so back to the beginning, to part one. For housing, I chose option A. So it would be shared rent with a roommate. When I pictured the roommate, I kind of just put my boyfriend into that little roommate spot.
That makes sense.
Typically that's how, I'm only 22. That's usually how people my age, they have their significant other. They're just half pretty much everything, so half on rent. And then utilities, same amount, $300. For the transportation, growing up, I was always told as long as it gets you to point A to point B, you don't need nothing crazy.
Okay.
And,
good advice.
I stand by that. So option A for me, so $400.
All right.
And then the insurance, the $450, groceries, $650. It left me with $2,500 remaining.
All right.
So I had a lot of playroom with where I was putting the money at. This probably took me the longest because I don't know. I don't usually put this much money everywhere, So for the first category, for the dining out / coffee, I did $250.
Okay.
And I did that because I'm not necessarily getting coffee, I make coffee at work every morning, so I don't go out and buy the $6 coffee. But going on dates, going and just spending time with my significant other, it could be either we're going and buying ingredients, making a pizza at home, or we're just going out to like Applebee's, getting drinks. So that's why I did that. And then now, me personally, for like the travel and the savings, usually I kind of just put it all in one bundle. But for the purpose of this, for the travel / trips, I did $400. I eventually want to go to Japan.
Okay.
I want to go see the world. I want to travel before I have kids, get a house, all the bigger life goals. And then hobbies, I did $200. I put in the why this matters to you box, I put shopping.
The retail therapy, right?
There you go.
Yeah, come on.
Sometimes it's just window shopping. Sometimes I don't even buy anything.
works too.
You just look at it,
Just
you
as
say,
good.
"Oh wow, this is really nice," and you put it back on the shelf and you walk away. But then also too, I don't have any kids. I do have a cat. So
Okay.
I'm always looking in the cat section if there's any toys she might need. She definitely doesn't need more toys, but it doesn't hurt to look. And then fitness, I did $35. That was what my gym membership was. So just even $35, you could probably find cheaper elsewhere.
Planet Fitness.
Yep, Planet Fitness. Yeah, literally.
Now.
And then for the family / kids, I put $60. I just did 60 because I would say you could get something good for like my siblings, like gift wise.
Okay.
You know, if their birthday comes up, I mean that could definitely change depending. Because I mean I don't have 12 siblings.
I was going to say, yeah, you're looking at,
you know,
it works out to be something like $700 a year
Yeah, right.
of like family gift giving. If that's what
Yeah.
you're planning for,
That would be-
I mean, that's
that'd
going to
be
work
insane.
for almost the opposite of what Jacob was mentioning with the debt aspect of planning ahead and putting money aside for
Yeah.
Christmas presents, birthday presents, and also it goes with the same idea with your Japan travel of I'm going to put $400 a month away towards this goal, which also you could argue could be down in that future goals section.
Yeah, right. And so then entertainment, same thing. We got streaming services, Netflix, HBO, but also too, since I left it at 50, I do use my parents' login. Even though, you know, you'll get the occasional, are you in the household?
That
Yes, I
email?
am. I'm still in the household. You know, don't worry about it. And then the savings / future goals, 1,400.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, I had $2,500 left over. Might as well
Hey,
make the biggest one your savings. You
There you
never
go.
know.
Pay yourself, right? Pay yourself, yeah.
Yeah, pay yourself first. My stepdad says that all the time to me. Pay
uh-huh.
yourself first.
And we've said that more than a few times on the podcast as well.
And then I was left over with $105 after I had already filled the rest of it out. So I just titled the just in case.
There you go.
Because-
Emergency fund.
Just in case. You never know. You might have to put money towards your car if your tire blows out, or you never know. So-
Absolutely. And honestly, the emergency fund is the other thing that we harp on regularly here is if you've got that savings built up as that intentional emergency fund, that when those things come around, it won't throw your monthly budget off for future months. And if that emergency budget or that emergency savings account gets a little bit too big for its britches and you manage to stash a little extra in there,
Yep.
then maybe you decide not to get coffee at the office that morning and you stop at Dutch Brothers or something, get yourself a treat. Candy, how about you?
Okay, so my family dynamic to kind of just help with this and just with like the choices that I made is what it is now actually. So I have a spouse and 2 daughters, one that's 8, one that's 18 and working part-time. So that's nice because then she has her own, little income that she can work with. So that was also helpful in making some decisions here. So with that, really what made the most sense, of course, for living would be moderate single housing, so $1,600 right there. For transportation, kind of to like what you said, is don't need anything
Yep.
crazy or fancy, something that is working and that's decent. That's all I need. And plus, I don't really like go anywhere. Like I hardly put any miles on
Yeah.
my car. I literally live across the river, take my kid to school, and that's it, back and forth. That's like
Okay.
maybe
Short driving.
10 miles a day, if that.
Yeah.
So that would be my vehicle. With my expenses, I'm going to share something with you guys. This is really fun. So one of my actions that I'm going to take to help achieve one of my financial goals this year is to, I'm going to say it so you guys hold me accountable, okay? Is to not spend any money. Jeff, you heard that, hubby. Not this Jeff, but I'm not spending any money this year. Jeff with the G. Yeah, so that's going to be, really interesting because, I, haven't been very careful or just intentional with my selections in the last couple of years. Kind of fell off track a little bit, I'm going to tell on myself, but that's okay. Because I feel like I just had a really big shift in my mindset that kind of led to all of this. And it's, goes a little deeper than that, but it's really fun stuff where it's something that's really touching a lot of areas in my life, not just finances, but health and just in general, the time that I spend with my family. So a lot that's going on there. So with finances, this is going to be fun because also it's my daughter's birthday this weekend. And what does she want to do for her birthday? She wants to go to a Kraken game on Friday. So
Oh,
we're
well,
gonna
there you
do
go.
that. So we're like,
man.
okay, that's different. All right, we got you. And of course, we start talking about, what are we going to wear? I'm like, I don't have anything Kraken. So start,
Gotta have
of
the
course, get
memorabilia.
tempted. I looked on Amazon for a minute. I was scrolling, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't need it. So
Yeah.
just colors will work, right?
There you go.
I'll
That'll
just-
work.
Yeah,
That will
versus
work.
Seahawks gear or Mariners gear. Good enough.
Same thing, it's
It's Seattle. It's
Yeah.
Seattle.
Funny.
Come on now.
Yeah, so we'll see. So mine are pretty simple because, of course, with like not spending, it really boils down to, like dining out and coffee. So it's funny enough because I've never really done that in general. I do so more like when I'm out traveling, like when it makes sense because I'm a very simple eater. Like I eat the same things. I have a routine to make sure I get my protein in the morning after my workout. So that just makes it easy, right? And like for lunch, a lot of the times when I forget, I have like protein bars and protein shakes everywhere because that's also super helpful so that I get some good calories in. The next section on travel and trips, that's actually probably my biggest focus there and where our biggest spend is just as a family because over the years we just really have learned to just cherish just quality time with one another while we're traveling. When we're home, I feel like we're just too accessible and we get distracted by work and other obligations that we have. So it's better for us to just like not physically be here just so that we're not available sometimes,
Out of office.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not being distracted by, at things at home. Like, I need to work on this project or like organize everything and just start purging things because I'll do that every once in a while. Find me in my closet. 3 hours later, just reorganizing. So that's super helpful for us to just get away because we found that that's when we're really just at peace and into, just spending that quality time together. And more recently, what we actually have had a lot of fun with is playing board games, which is something that I've never, or just playing games in general.
Okay.
Something that I've really never really done.
Welcome to the cult.
Yeah. So fun. Really fun. Especially Monopolies. I think I mentioned this in another episode, is my little one's, my 8-year-old's favorite game ever. Hilarious.
Yes.
But it's really fun. It's Squishmallow Monopoly, by the way. So that's why I think she likes it because it's a little plushy. Yeah. But it takes like 3 hours sometimes. And I'm just like, so you keep my money to her. Like, here you go. Like, let's get this
You
over.
win.
Yeah, but very fun. The next one is actually for us. So we have a lot of hobbies and recreations that are based around just like the seasons that we're in. So we're really big on just being outdoors. Skiing is one of our favorite things to do, especially with my little ones. Well, I say that, but I don't know. Sometimes it's a hit or miss with them. This is whether they want to actually participate or not. A lot of the time they just want to, be there for the vibe and be in the lodge. Just
there you go.
But still very fun. Another hobby that we really enjoy is wake surfing in the summer. And then during the other off seasons, we'll find something like an activity. So I kind of just did like a / like gymnastics for like my little one as an example, because that's kind of how it all like works out through the entire year. So there's like almost an expense every month, but it's on different things. And that one, I think, I didn't say the amount, by the way. Back to travel and trips was $750. So that's a big chunk right there. Because depending on the place, of course, there's the expenses of food, travel, whether it's gas, flights or whatever that might be. It can get pretty spendy, but it's well worth it for us. Hobbies and recreation, that's also a spendy one just because of the hobbies that we have and love. That's about $250 a month. And it's so funny, I totally forgot. I did save for my savings. I set $1,000, which is a really nice chunk of what was left over and available. And the reason being for that is because I think we said this before, but you want to set this up where you like set it and forget it and automate it. Because if that's not the first thing you do, which is funny to what you said earlier, it's the last thing here, but it really should be the first thing that we do because you will always find something to spend your money on. So make sure you do that first. And just actually as we got here, I remembered how could I forget this? One of the really important things, and just right here out of the savings account, I would have to take at least $500 a month to go towards education. That's something that's very important to me and my family, and whether that's for private school or college later on for the kids, that's something that I feel like we should save for because, as we know, those expenses are...
Absolutely.
Well, and our savings category here includes future goals, and I believe that is one that you can easily throw in there as far as, hey, of this 1,000, some of this is going towards future college tuition.
Yeah, absolutely. And one little one, but I feel like I still need to mention this because this is also like one of those where, again, I forgot because it's auto pay, and I've had it since I was 18 years old. And one of the best choices I ever made was to get term life insurance. For my family, because I got a really good deal when I was 18 years old, and I have really good coverage for my family. Should anything happen, we have a little bit of extra safety and security there.
As I mentioned earlier, savings being the very last thing, I ended up putting just whatever was left over in there. Because I did not think about it first, because I did not read the instructions all the way through. Like any kid in elementary school remembers that quiz that they hand out where the first instruction is read everything and the very last thing is don't answer any questions. Skipped right over all the instructions, went straight through and started filling stuff out. And then I realized very quickly that I was putting in ideas that were similar to my current lifestyle, and I was very quickly in the red. As I mentioned at the beginning of our episode, so I have made some adjustments. I went back and I looked at this again, and I was like, okay, given this as the scenario, my wife, myself, and all of our dogs, I was like, okay, well, we survived pretty well in an 1,100 square foot house for almost 15 years. So I was like, we could get back to something like that. So I went with the middle range on the housing. So moderate single housing. And then I went with the, because both she and I are driving relatively newer vehicles at this point, despite the fact they're both paid off. I went with the mid-range on that one for fuel and insurance and everything else, so $700 there. With all the other expenses end up being $3,700, leaving $1,700 to allocate across the board. Now I have a pretty wide array of things that are here. Dining out and coffee for $300 a month because I love food. We've talked about that on the podcast before. I have plans of purchasing at least $120 worth of brisket for Super Bowl Sunday that I'm going to cook up. I'm somewhere in that range of constantly buying extra stuff, going out to lunch regularly. It's time for me to socialize, go out and do things. So I have $300 a month for dining out and coffee, and I put that mostly in my lunchtime range. We got some other stuff in here that we'll get to after that. Travel and trips, I put $400. Realizing that we've got to kind of pare back a little bit. It's still just my wife and I, but $400 is putting me at around $5,000 a year for a single trip. And I figure that might cover it. We'll see. I might be very annoyed with only getting to travel a little bit. That's kind of one of my main focuses, but we'll dip into some other categories if necessary, such as that dining. That month, I'm taking it with me on vacation. So while Candy was kind of rolling those into her travel budget all in one, I'm looking at get me there and get me a place to stay, and then I'll use the rest of my dining budget while I'm there. Hobbies and recreation. Now, I agree that the monthly subscriptions and whatnot, the stuff that we're paying for, like if you've got a particular thing that is coming around regularly, that needs to be in here. And that's why I've got $150 in here, because I support a couple of Patreons that help support my hobbies. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and I have a 3D printer. And I need to keep my resin stocked up so I can print up minis. And I've got a couple of them. So I got $150 in there. I might be overshooting a little bit, but I figure the odds of me spending more in this category are pretty high. So I'll budget for it. And then if I come in under, I'll feel great.
Extra money, right?
Exactly.
Extra money.
Exactly. Fitness wellness, I put $160. That is my gym membership. I go to Orange Theory in Richland regularly, and that's actually slightly cheaper than most people can get it for the one that I've got. But I also figure I'm there 5 days a week. So when it all comes down to it, I'm getting at least 20 workouts in a month, if not more. I'm paying like $8 a workout for somebody to yell at me and tell me what to do. They don't actually yell at you. They're very motivational. But that's the type of thing that I need, so that like days like today, I can put in 4.5 miles on a treadmill and go home and then be like, okay, I don't have to do that again for at least 24 hours. Family and kids. Now, like I said, it's just my wife and I. I put $150 a month in here because I'm assuming this is her running around doing hobbies and recreation, taking from our budget. And so I split those evenly, 150 for me, 150 for her. Normally this would be well unbalanced in her favor. But that's fine because she earns that. Entertainment and fun. I also have $150 in here because beyond just our subscriptions, we're going out to do date night or something along those lines. And I decided to put that under entertainment and fun. If I'm going to go axe throwing, that's where it's coming out of. And again, I feel like this one might end up being a mix with my dining and coffee, because part of entertainment and fun for me is also going out to a brewery, trying new beverages, going other places like that. So I find that to be entertaining and fun. I did put that kind of all rolled up into there. And when it all said and done, I looked at that number at the bottom and I said, apparently I'm putting $390 into savings and future goals. And I realized, you know what? Sometimes that's just kind of the way it works out. Like Jacob mentioned earlier, I would probably like to have more in there, but I would like to enjoy what I'm doing as well. And I know that my travel, like you mentioned, Lily, is a major thing for my wife and I, because while we don't have kids, we do have a house, but traveling is still the thing that we want to do. And so getting out, seeing the world, doing all those things matters for us quite a bit. And of course, then in there with the family and kids, the dogs definitely have a toy subscription. So
Is it the bark box?
it is the bark box.
My gosh.
It is a thing. They get toys regularly. I need to talk to her about whether we need to cancel that at this point in time, because I think we've got at least a dozen boxes that haven't been opened because my wife is incapable of getting rid of the dog's toys. And of course, I'm obviously stepping up to do that as well. I am definitely not throwing their toys away unless they're absolutely destroyed. And a couple of our dogs really just have one toy that they love. And all the other ones are just like, whatever.
They're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of the dogs just loves anything that squeaks or crinkles. And therefore he'll chew on that for a while and then loses interest. I'm like, we've got buckets of these dog toys sitting around. I just need to go get rid of those, or probably what I'll do is take those unopened bark boxes to a local animal shelter and donate them. But either way, we have a subscription, so that I've got included in there as well. After hearing everybody else's layout, is there anything that any of you guys would have changed about what you've done?
I don't think so. I think for me, I still have it dialed in pretty realistically for me. But it is very interesting to hear everybody's, allocation, just because it's very interesting. Because again, you look at somebody like me, a good chunk of my money is going towards family. I feel like that's my biggest one, right? $250 a month. But it's because for me, I also like to allocate that for, trips, hobbies, recreation, and things like that. So it's interesting to hear how everybody itemizes it differently. Everybody else, right? Maybe you guys get more joy out of travel and trips, right? And, making memories and creating experiences, something that, you may not get to experience again. And for me, just the time in my life right now, I'm so focused on just raising my son, showing him, so much love and affection and bringing him on trips and things like that. He's too young to remember. So for me, it's not that I don't want to, right? But it's just right now in my current time, it's just not necessary. So for me, it's good to see some reevaluation, because once he gets older, right, he's maybe going to be in sports. So hobbies and recreation, that's going to have to go up. Travel and trips, if he's anything like me and he's on those sports teams, travel teams, that gets very expensive, right? So it's interesting to see how we change our budget to our lifestyle. Very interesting.
Also, I will say on the whole memories that he may or may not have, I get told regularly by my dad about trips that we went on when I was 2 or 3. And I'm like, great, that's awesome. I'm glad I was there.
Yeah.
I should go visit that again someday so I understand what it actually was that we were seeing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As far as the savings, now I know Jacob and I were both in the lower range on there. Candy and Lily were quite a bit higher. What do you guys see as far as spreading those out? Candy, you already mentioned in yours making the educational savings for future tuition. What else is everybody looking at as far as those savings plans and what you're doing with it? Lily?
Well, so I filled this out yesterday.
Okay.
On Friday. the Friday that we just had, I was rear-ended.
Oh.
And so when I was filling this out, I was like, you know, I have to get a new car most likely. So when I was filling this out, I was like, well, the more I save, there's some money that I'll have later just in case, you never know.
Okay.
And then for a down payment on a new car. But then Candy mentioned school. I am in school. But thankfully, I do get financial aid.
Okay.
And thankfully, it also does cover, you know, my tuition. But I also go to a community college. It's different. My best friend, she goes to a university. So that's different. Tuition is more. That's more money. So I guess, yeah, it just depends on where you're at in your life. You know, I think maybe later on down the road, once I have kids, the savings, it'll probably go down. Everything else will probably go up. But as of right now, I mean,
Okay.
that's pretty much what I look at when
So
I do
so
the
you, so you're
savings.
you're stashing stuff aside, savings account, future purchases, new car, saving for a down payment on a house you had mentioned, saving for trips you had mentioned, mostly liquid savings. Not really focusing anything on retirement. Which is a
Yeah.
whole thing that we
Yeah,
we haven't even touched on here, because I know that of my income, I have my 401k maxed out with the matching and whatnot. I have, and of course it's not in this budget, but I have money going into IRAs and other retirement investments on the side as well. And again, this is a out of sight, out of mind thing, which is why I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about it looking at this, because that's the way those type of investments, in my opinion, should be. Pull them right out of the gate, never even see that money, and don't have to worry about it. So hopefully that's kind of one of those things with this, your first big girl job.
Yes.
Max those things out, plan ahead. Jacob, what about you? Are you looking at any of that $300 as far as funneling into other investments?
Absolutely. I think it's very interesting that you say that, because for me, it didn't register in my mind as well, right?
Yep.
For me, same thing. It's kind of set it and forget it. I have my 401k. I established it here, immediately maxed it out. I'm sorry, did my most contribution so I can get the biggest match, right?
Yep.
So for me, it's an out of sight, out of mind thing. I always tell people, if your employer offers something like that, like 401k matching, take advantage of it. And the reason why is kind of like you said, what ends up happening is if you never see that money, to you, I don't want to say it doesn't exist, right? But it never hits your account. So in that sense, it doesn't really matter to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it doesn't, I don't want to say that incorrectly, but you don't see it. So you don't think about it. So same thing applies here. For me, it's been set up since I've been here. So I didn't even think about putting it on here, but that is something that to me is absolutely important.
Well, and I would also say that if you're not maxing out that match, that you're leaving money on the table.
Absolutely.
Which, as far as like compensation packages are concerned, if you get the opportunity to earn more, are you going to be like, nah, I really don't want that 3%.
Yeah.
Keep that one.
Exactly.
Candy?
So I would say with like what you have available for savings, so to like maximize your money, right? So like maybe use 25% of it for like to keep it liquid for an emergency fund, if you will, and then the rest of it invest it in a way where you're going to get a maximum ROI. Whether that is investing in real estate or maybe investing in a startup company, depending on what you build that up to. And even going back to just like my selection and like the living situation, I was like, well, can I, like, if this was me back at like 18, 19, I would want to get a duplex because then I would make some extra money from that rental, you know? Just trying to think of ways to generate additional income.
Candy's looking at this as if Jeff totally left out options in our scenario here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just definitely always thinking like, how could I maximize this?
Yeah.
And then just kind of like, and even like with here recently, CD rates came back up, you know, which was nice because for a long time they were kind of low. But even in times like that, in deciding, okay, like I know I'm not going to touch X amount of money, I'm going to put this here for 6 months because I know for sure I'm not going to touch it. Even though it's a little bit, like it does add up over time.
Oh yeah.
Just really maximizing.
Well, and if you can pick a chunk of change that you know you don't want to touch because you want to intentionally save it, a CD is actually a really great way to stash that money away for the typical variable timelines on that one, 6 6 months out to
5 years, I
Yep.
believe.
yeah, up to 5 years. So like if you're like, hey, this $5,000, I don't need to touch this year, and you can go and put that into a 12-month CD and earn that percentage on that, and then it comes back around, you realize, oh yeah, no, I still don't need that money for anything. I'll reinvest that same one back in again. Then you've got this passive income that is generating, giving you that ROI that you want. Everybody that's out there listening should go on hapo.org right now, take a look at those CDs, see what you've got that you can stash into those that you don't need to work with. That $1,400 that you've got going there, that can start to snowball and really impact your future planning if you don't need that money for a while. And then as far as emergency funds, I know we've talked about this before, utilizing something like a money market account where it limits your access to the money, but not so much that it isn't still available for an emergency. Money markets typically like 6 transactions a month that you're allowed to do in those, which means that if you only have that as an emergency savings, hopefully you're not having 6 emergencies a month, because that 7th one would be the one where you'd be like, well, I can't get to that fund anymore. But again, that's going to earn more than a regular savings account or a checking account is going to earn for you. Making it a great place to kind of stash and utilize for that extra savings. Let's go to our last part here, our essay questions, where we gave very little room to put stuff down on here, it makes sense because I wrote nothing. But our trade-off reflections, I'm going to go down and ask these questions just top to bottom. What category did you protect? When you were looking at that list of stuff that we had there, which one did you look at? We're like, no, this is the one that I need. I think we got a pretty good idea of what everybody was looking at, as well as why. But let's go around the table. Which one were you really protective of when you saw it?
Well, I mean, I chose savings, and in the little space that we got, I wrote savings, because you never know if something serious will happen.
Okay.
You never know.
Very true. For me, it was family / savings. They're kind of right there. But for me, it was just most important to be secure and protect my children's future. Yeah. So that was my biggest thing.
Okay. Candy?
For me, it's actually travel, because that's how I keep my sanity. We'll spend that time with family and just refresh and reset.
And I think for me, travel would be the one that I would say that I would protect the most, because that's what my wife and I really do like to do. I would also, if I had to give up on that, it would probably be my recreation, my hobbies aspects, because that would be, if I wasn't traveling, that would be the secondary one to keep my sanity, where it wouldn't just be like, oh, yay, another day. Let's wake up, go to the gym, go to work, come home, eat a pack of ramen, go to bed. I've got to, exactly. Wash, rinse, repeat. For me, keeping that variety of things, being able to go out and interact with other people. For you, your family. For me, I like my dogs and all, but I can only throw the squeaky toy so many times before I need to go interact with another person. What was the hardest thing to cut when you started looking at this? Lily, obviously you were feeling an abundance of cash here. What was hard to cut? Did you even consider upping the living situation or anything when you looked at just how much money you had left over? Not so much?
My family tells me all the time that I hate spending money.
Good problem to have. Good problem to have.
I don't know. I just try, it's so different. Like my mom, she loves to shop. Hobby Lobby, TJ Maxx. And then she's like, oh, do you want to go shopping? I'm like, do we need anything? We don't need anything. And then she's like, oh, I need a new shelf. Where are you going to put this shelf at? We have no room. So I'm like, I guess, there wasn't really anything hard to cut back on, I guess.
Okay.
Jacob?
I said hobbies, and the reason why, right, is we all have things that we enjoy doing recreationally to keep us sane, to keep us at tip-top shape. So for me, I don't think it was difficult, but it was interesting to see how I reevaluate it, right? Because for me, I said, well, I can bundle in my hobbies with my children and my family. So I didn't have to cut back. But as far as taking what I may enjoy doing, right? That's kind of where it's like, but you have to do what you have to do, right? So no love lost.
Okay. Candy?
For me, this was really tough, and it's like shocking that it's not even on here. But ultimately, I had to cut fitness and wellness because I feel like I could find ways of working out for free and doing things for free. Absolutely. But it's difficult because for someone like me, I'm very motivated by my environment and the energy around me. So especially like at a gym, like an Orange Theory, where there's like an instructor and your friends and everybody around, you get hyped up.
Oh, yeah.
And it gives you energy, you know, to just like push yourself a little more. Like I am all about that. So that would be hard, really difficult for me because it's hard for me to self-motivate to work out because I'll end up just watching some show and then just walking on the treadmill, you know, not the same.
Well, I was going to say, walking on a treadmill is still good.
Yeah.
If you're just sitting on a couch watching on a show, watching
Just
a show,
get the
you may as well
incline
be
going.
walking on a treadmill watching the same show.
Yep, good to go.
I was looking at it and I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm cutting anything. And then I was like, yeah, I am. I'm cutting so much. But it was for me, I think, realizing how little I was going to be able to push into some of the categories on this budget, which is paring back from my current lifestyle quite a bit. I would say that right now, this is probably less than half of what we put into travel. So despite the fact that it was my most protected category, it was also the one that I had to cut the most out of going into this process. And if I wanted to take and put very much similar to how Candy put in there, I'd have to probably bump that up where it's like, what are we spending while we're on vacation, on nice meals, on other things? I probably need to triple that with what we do for traveling and how much we have committed into that part of our lifestyle. It's probably the biggest change. We are coming close to the end of our time here, and as much as I would love to dive into a lot more of these, I'm going to reverse the order. We're going to go around the table. Last thoughts, this experiment, how did you feel going through it? Did you like this? Do you think this would be helpful? Should we ask all of our financial coaches to put this in their desk just to bring out so other people can experience this type of thing? Let's go around the table and see final thoughts, Candy.
Yeah, I would say definitely, do the activity. If you can get your hands on it, it's very fun to go through it, to just really help you see and measure what you're spending your money on, especially if you're doing it, based on your current lifestyle, plugging your own numbers in there to see where that's going. I think that the misconception behind a budget a lot of the times is that it's restricting when it is not. It's just a measurement of where your money is going. And when you see that, you can make better decisions and choices that align with the lifestyle that you want to live, with your goals. And also just really makes you second guess and think, okay, wait, is this really going to help you get there? Or is it taking away from my goal? So I found that very interesting and rewarding. And if anything, energizing, because then it's like, okay, I can see now where everything is going. So
Jacob?
For me, I think it's very good just to see everything itemized. For me, I like to think that I have a very good understanding of budgeting and how to create a budget, but it was very good to see everything itemized. My biggest takeaway is, even with a savings budget, right, realizing how expensive it is to live. If not for that savings budget, anything could happen, right? And maybe you miss a check. Maybe you are in a car accident or anything like that, or you need new tires or something abruptly comes up. And without that savings balance, it is very interesting to see just how close we are to not having money, to carrying a credit card balance and things like that. So interesting to see. I think it's very important. Everybody should do this exercise just so you can be aware of your spending habits.
Lily?
I agree. I definitely think plug in your own numbers if you can. I also think, like how I chose the roommate option, maybe before you decide, oh yeah, I want to live with this person, look at what you're spending, look at what they're spending, see how you can come together and maybe budget, make things easier.
Oh, yeah. Share those logins.
Okay, maybe not that.
Hey, if I've got a roommate and they're bringing Netflix to the table, I will offer up bringing in Hulu. I feel like that's a quality balance.
Fair trade-off.
That's true.
It is still in the household.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I would say this is definitely a good little activity to go through. And I know, like, I never look at my statements. So, like, you know, go and see, like, you know, just see what you're spending your money on.
Yeah.
How you can save more.
All right. For everybody out there listening, this has been Dollars and Cents, Happel Community Credit Union's Financial Literacy Podcast. Until next time. Thanks, everybody.